Someone had sent me a question, what is the difference between frequencies and dimensions and astral planes and astral worlds? So I thought I'd answer that really quick before we go into the meditation. When I talk about dimensions or frequencies, I kind of use those two words interchangeably. There's the concept that we are in physicality in the third dimension, in the third frequency, and that we are in the process of ascending to the fifth dimension or the fifth frequency. That, and some of us are in between, somewhere in the fourth dimension on our way to the fifth, right? There's a transitional process, and that's pretty much when you're in development with your psychic skills. This world is starting to feel less real to you, starting to feel more temporary to you, maybe even starting to feel less interesting to you. We're starting to transition already. And in the metaphysical New Age world, I think that's pretty dominant, this concept of third dimension, fifth dimension. Now, in my channelings, there are a few other frequencies or dimensions which hold form, which are the 8th dimension. The 10th dimension less so, and the 22nd dimension. The 5th, 8th, and 22nd dimension, there's a fair amount of entities that hold form and are in environments. The 10th dimension and the 44th dimension, there are also entities that hold form, but to a lesser degree. And then there is another at the top of this frequency, which I call physicality, the physical universe that we know as in planets and expanding space, regions of space. There's also, that goes 1 to 100, and there's also some form on the 99th dimension. So I consider those dimensions to be like different channels on the radio dial. So just like you have a radio station and you can tune in to 99.5 or 104.8, or you can change it from AM to FM. It's a tuning in of different channels, and there's a different grouping of entities on these different frequencies. For example, when I asked about the Anunnaki, they said the Anunnaki was definitely a galactic species, 8th dimension, not 5th dimensional, 8th dimensional. And as an 8th dimensional entity came down to the 3rd dimension, then to us they appeared as gods. So if you're anybody who follows that storyline. In terms of heaven and the hellish realms and the heavenly realms, that's all 5th dimension. That's all 5th dimension. And it's pretty well developed. It's big. It's really, really big. I would say less so. I don't know about the 8th dimension. Honestly, haven't spent too much time channeling on it, but I'm imagining it's less so than the 5th dimension. Maybe somebody can, I'm getting a yes on that, but not much more information. And then the 22nd dimension, it's kind of the channel of the god and goddess energy. So if you've ever had a Akashic record reading and someone has said that, oh, you're the goddess Iris or something from Egypt. To me, what that means is on the 22nd dimension, you're tuned into yourself as goddess. On the 5th dimension, you would still be tuned into yourself as angelic or angel. If you think about the higher self going up and up and up, the higher self being at the top, and that we have the center line, you can imagine multi-dimensional means at every channel it branches off right? And if you can imagine that at every branch, some aspect of your soul body exists in form. Imagine that. That's multidimensionality, if you can grasp that. And then all the way up to the level of the higher self. And now we're into God consciousness. No form. No emotion even. A lot of the entities that I interact with at what I call the Godhead is they do not have emotions. And they don't have personalities either. And sometimes in order to interact with me, they will do something which is called running a program. I'll say, did you run the program? They will literally put on a personality or put on a voice so that I can identify them or recognize them. And then also sometimes when they're in my frequency in my body, they'll feel emotional and it'll be very uncomfortable. Emotions are very uncomfortable to them. So I'll say, well, just turn down your dial. You don't have to be with emotions. Humans are considered extremely emotional relative to entities. So that's kind of a little bit on dimensions and frequencies. In terms of astral planes and astral planets, that's describing a body of environment that exists on these channels. So, for example, a planet, we're on a planet, it's round. Our planet is round. It's not flat, it's round. And in the fifth dimension, there are also planets. Now, there are also astral planes. An astral plane is flat. It's flat. It's not round. And sometimes, I know on the 8th dimension and even the 22nd dimension, planes are created by the entities for a location in which to have an experience. So they may not have needed a whole planet to have an experience. They might have just needed an island, on the sea. So planets and planes are describing environments that exist in the 5th, the 8th, the 22nd, the 44th, and the 99th dimension. And the 10th dimension as well, although I don't think it's very well developed on the 10th dimension. These are some of the concepts I'll be channeling on when I go into seclusion in order to write the book. In my busy life, and especially seeing clients, I don't have the focus to be astral. So I get the intention that they really want me to go astral. Seclude, be by yourself, be just with us, and we're going to take you up so that you can have an experience. Sometimes I ask, why am I having this experience? And Ollie came and he said, you can't write or share about something that you do not know or have not experienced directly. So because you're our chosen channel, you have these experiences, and then you can go back and share them with the world, and that's our intention for you. So I'm looking forward to going into seclusion. I'm also a little bit scared because it's tripped out. It's definitely a trippy thing. I think our world, our hypnotized, third dimensional, pay taxes, work 9 to 5, grounded world. It's a little flat and boring, but it's also very consistent and dependable and well seen and known. So when you go tracking off up into the astral world, it's a little, you've got your feelers. I've got my feelers up and I'm feeling through. Let's see, what else I want to say. I know that on the 22nd dimension, the entities that I have met up there are only about 20% in form. It's almost like they're just consciousness, and then when they want to have an experience or meet with others, like a party, some celebration, they will create themselves in form in order to have a shared experience. Once the shared experience has completed, they go back into just being consciousness. I call all of this like one, or the first level, the first dimension. I know it gets confusing, but as far as I'm concerned, that's the only dimension of format of the physical universe. I am very well aware that there are many, many other dimensions stacked on top of that, and there's no form up there. They exist in consciousness. They exist in concept. Whenever I'm trying to work with them or channel them, I see shapes, and I'm like, are you these shapes? And they are, well, in this case, in order for interaction and what we're doing, we are in the form of shapes, like sacred geometrical shapes, somewhat. But normally, if we were not interacting with you, or if we were just minding our own business like normal, we would be just in consciousness. Now, when I say minding our own business as normal, again, I remind you that there's an imbalance, there's a spiritual imbalance, and they're calling it a spiritual war. It's going on all levels, and they have asked me to participate. So I get the sense that this does not happen very often, that normally these entities that I've brushed up against are unconscious, no conscious. They are in bliss. They are content and floating and high, like at a very high feeling, without any lack. And, I can tell you, I think some of them, most of them, are slightly annoyed that the imbalance has caused them to be conscious and now in a state of doing rather than just being. At the same time, they understand that this imbalance has caused all of the imbalances all the way down to the physical universe, which is what we're experiencing right now. An imbalance in consciousness, an imbalance in the heart, an imbalance in how we are perceiving. All right. So that was the question that came to me, and if anybody has another question, maybe I'll answer it next time. Since there are no requests,
all participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Since there are no requests for this meditation, I am going to go ahead and focus on past life clearing. I have been focusing on the 7 chakras. So, again, if your work is in the 7 chakras, then the guardians will be clearing you there. If you are having any blocks, feeling any fear, feeling any anxiety, feeling any disconnection from God, I can't connect to God, they'll be clearing you in your 7 chakras. A lot of the people who are following me are pretty high, which means that we can bounce up and clear up in the ascending chakras. Again, the ascending chakras are storage type energy chambers that store past life residue. And when we do a past life clearing, we're going up and up and up to clear at subconscious levels. Now, these subconscious levels, how do we know we have subconscious material? We're easily triggered. We don't know why. We have generalizations, themes, and we don't know why. For example, I hate all men, or I don't like city life, whatever. When there's these big, broad generalizations, and this is for those wanting to be the healers too, if people say things like that, a lot of times it's subconscious residue up in the ascending chakras. And if you look into it through past life reading, I have discovered, or through hypnosis and the clients talking to you about the past life, that, there's these themes of, I was a woman and I was always held back. I was a woman and I didn't get to vote. I was a woman and I don't think I was treated fairly. And that all of these past life experiences create, I don't like men. Or I feel like I'm always oppressed by the male gender. So just note to self in terms of if you're a life coach or a healer or working in that direction, when people start to say things like that, it's almost always rooted in the ascended chakras. All right, so we're going to move into the meditation now. Find yourself in a relaxed position. Open yourself to the breath. And the breath simply is in the present moment. If we stop breathing, we lose consciousness. We ascend. So we can use the breath to move into the moment, and we can use the breath to shift consciousness. The other thing that we have is intention. What I am intending. Now remember that I said these higher frequency energies, entities, it's all about consciousness, thought, intention. I am aware of myself, therefore I am. And if I'm not aware of myself, I am all. I am one. Now we can intend all kinds of things. And the clearer we are, the easier it is for us to manifest. That's one of the intentions of this work, to clear to the 100th chakra. Why? Because then there's more divine light flowing through. The more light that flows through, the more magical we become. The more we can make things happen. Even in this chaos that says, I can't get a job or there's no abundance, somehow, if you're clear, you find those things show up for you. I'm about to go into seclusion for 3 months, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time in nature. I consider that to be very abundant, even though funding is not the source of abundance. So we can intend. So breath and intention. Intention is the focal point of this work. In Reiki practice, we're using our hands and intending light to flow through, and when we feel heat, right, we feel Reiki. In this practice, we're using our intention, and we are having faith and believing in it so strongly that it's actually happening for yourself and for the client. We can intend to feel positive emotions. So let us intend to feel love. Now, like I said, in the highest of high frequencies, there is no emotion. I think the Buddhist meditation of no thingness, stillness, just being is probably the highest and most accurate meditation. If you look at the Hindu religions, the gurus, they talk a lot about love. Yogananda talked about feeling love. In my scope of things, love is quite human. It's kind, it's warm, it's nurturing, it's soft, it's giving. I think that love is spoken of because it's comfortable. And when we intend love strongly, we feel it. Intend that love is in the room. Intend that love surrounds you. You can also intend that pleasure and warmth is in the room. Like it feels pleasurable just to breathe. And the combination of love and pleasure into the body is really, isn't that really what we're after? In terms of needing to be in a relationship or wanting to have a family or an animal. We want to feel loved. We want to feel pleasure. We believe that these relationships can provide us that. And so we pursue them. But lo and behold, romantic relationships are never perfect. And children grow and complain and are difficult at times. So this relationship is the most pure. And when you understand how to get there, how to bridge, it's the most easiest relationship to feel love and pleasure, because it asks nothing of you. You simply tap in and intend. And it doesn't have anything to gain or lose from you. Therefore, it's compassionate. I just love. I am the energy of prana. I am the energy of cosmic source. I just am. And this concept alone should make you want to deepen the breath, because it feels good to breathe. It feels pleasurable to breathe. And all of a sudden, there it is, deep diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe you learned it in a yoga class. Or maybe your belly just opens up because it feels so good to breathe. And the breath deepens on its own. And this is the beginning of shifting to higher frequencies. Now, before we elevate, we ground down, we anchor. I am in the world, but I am not of the world. And I root into the world, because here I am incarnated in this body, in this personality of myself, in this ego of myself. And because I am here now, and these are my relationships, I root. I also root because there's a lot of chaos in the environment, in mass consciousness. And when I root, I'm just fine. I open my heart chakra, because there's that pleasurable emotion of love. And it all starts with, I love myself. I am beautiful. I love myself. I am worthy. And a lot of people have work to do here if they don't feel that way. In the 10 cosmic dimensions, I write about when you get up there, it's one of the first questions that they ask the soul. Do you feel beautiful? Do you love yourself? Are you at a frequency of love in your own essence that matches the frequency of love up here? I love myself. That allows me to say no sometimes. I love myself. That allows me to take breaks and pamper myself. It's almost as if there's a little button right at the center of your heart. And when you press on that button, it's like, oh, love. Yes, I love. I love me. I love God. I love breath. I love that I'm alive. I love that I'm here to help. I am love, loving, and beloved. I am love, loving, and beloved. And even in that affirmation, the heart chakra starts to spin, and it feels good. We open the crown, and we start to transcend. We see the white light all around the top of our head, and that it is cascading down. I am love, I am light. I am love, I am light. And imagine if Earth, if it has a different tone, if there was no such thing as money, or if our healthcare system was not for profit, if everything was not for profit. That's how it is up in heaven. There's no money up there. Nothing's for profit. We would all relax. We would all be in abundance. I am love, I am light. Every day is a good day. I am love, I am light. Every day is a good day. Send a line of energy up and up and up. It just keeps going through multiple layers of dimensions to the higher self. Now, the higher self in the book, The 100 Chakra System, I describe the higher self as kind of the brain center or the memory bank of your branches, all of them. Not just your past lives on Earth or in between lives. There's even more than that. Right now, on other branches, you may be existing as a planet or a sun. Imagine that. It's true. You're on the lower limbs of your branches, and the higher self registers all of those branches. That's intense. And humans, we're just at the point of consciousness of past lives. And then if you're hanging out with me, at least now we're at the point of soulful journeys and a stringing together of past lives, which create a whole journey. Ooh. Infinite creative energy, moving up and connecting to that nucleus, the higher self. And then beyond that, the cosmic ocean, spreading out, expansion, freedom, prana, light. And there you are, shifted. Now, mind you, we could stay right here and go into silence. And many meditation teachers do and should. And I encourage everybody to find other teachers. Just stay right here. And in fact, we can fragment. Imagine you leave a little bit of your consciousness right here at the level of the cosmic ocean. That aspect of you is still and stays in I am being. And that is enough. Now, in my work, I'm very focused on scrubbing the chakra system, on clearing subconscious residue, and on receiving from cosmic ocean whatever we need, faith, the ability to stay in the moment, a service project. One of my clients texted me that he started collecting food in his abundant neighborhood for others that are less abundant. Beautiful. That's where we should all be going. That's where we get to when we're high, when we're clear. So today, with the focus on past life clearing, we're going to come down and down and down, back down to the fifth dimension, to the cloud in the sky. Now, depending on your clairvoyance, you may be able to see, sense, feel, or imagine as we become very relaxed on the cloud. I like to be relaxed, as in lying down on the back, like when you come to my office on a massage table. Dolores Cannon, who was my teacher for past life regression, said, you make a bed because you want people to feel as if they're going to sleep. You want them to be comfortable on that bed. So comfortable. So soft. That you sink down and into the cloud. But you keep them aroused with your voice. You see, something to focus on, so that they don't go to sleep. And you catch them right there, right between awake and asleep. And that, my friend, is where the magic happens in terms of experiencing other dimensions. Imagining that you're laying down and onto the cloud. It's almost as if you don't even have a body at all. You can become one with this cloud. Now, your guides know where they want to clear in your subconscious. And the guardians, it's a team effort. They all kind of are working together. So I want you to imagine that there are 4 guides on the cloud. They're on your personal team. They know your whole journey, whatever journey you're on. They know times when you got stuck and times when you were very successful. And they know exactly what they might want to show you right now. Like a magic carpet ride. Clouds are drifting and the guides are moving or guiding that cloud exactly where it needs to go. Drifting and floating. Floating and drifting. Drifting and floating. Floating and drifting. Over the lands and over the seas and back and back and back and into your memory. And if you were to start to see what comes available to you, you think about all the images that you have seen in the context of your life, through your eyes, actually, through television, through movies. And yet right now, something specific comes to you. What is it? Maybe it's a pyramid or a crystalline city. Maybe it's the forest. It's unique to you. Whatever is your experience, we are releasing what is no longer serving you. What's up there in the attic? Let it go. Let it go. You don't need it anymore. You don't need it anymore. Adjusting for time. And now the cloud is starting to move. It's moving and it's carrying you along with it. Drifting again. And if you see nothing, don't despair, because the work is still occurring. And remember the breath. Love comes in and pleasure comes in. Love moves out. Pleasure is all around. Every time you breathe, it feels good. I quickly and easily release any subconscious goo. And now the cloud is starting to move. And we're going to also ask for a current life clearing. Right now, someone is going to come to your mind. Whatever it is, there's something there around them that needs to be released. Even if it was someone you're praying for example, releasing whatever outcome you're holding and praying for their highest best interest. Or maybe it was your mother or a sibling. See if any emotions come up and allow those emotions to pop like bubbles. And people more advanced in this practice that are working on psychic development, we're trusting what we see. We're trusting what's coming forward. And then we are developing. That's the best way I can describe of how you become a reader. Some people see symbols. Now, if you see symbols, you should keep a journal and then ask your guides to help you develop that language of symbolism for you, whether it be in your dreams or in clairvoyant seeing, like we are doing now. I don't know why it is that the guides choose different languages to speak to different ones of us. Maybe it's what's capable or what's practiced. I don't know. Some of us see symbols, some of us see pictures. Some of us see as if we're walking through an environment. And some of us see colors. Trust your experience and know, no matter what you are seeing, trust that and feel love and pleasure. I am full of love. I am full of pleasure. I am asking for healing, and I want to be whole. I am also asking to learn how to shift my consciousness soberly. This is how we do it sober. Because the artificial ways give us a big experience that's undeniable. But then we don't figure out how to do that on our own without it. So deep trance hypnosis is how we can. And remember that fragment up at the level of the higher self, just being in meditation simultaneously. You see, we can do more than a few things at once because we're multidimensional. I can feel love and pleasure through the breath on the third dimension. I can be clearing in my ascended chakras on the fifth dimension. And I am being in meditation within the cosmic ocean, and that's all happening right now. And because I can perceive that all simultaneously, I am ascended. That is ascension. Take a deeper breath. Feel love. Take a deeper breath. Feel pleasure. Adjusting for time. 3 hours have passed on the fifth dimension. And whenever you come out of this meditation, if you have seen, you might journal immediately. It'd have to be immediately after this, what you saw. And more of the story might come. You get to doing this long enough and you start to realize that even if there's no story, it doesn't matter. That's more curiosity. Also, a lot of people on this call are advanced. You do clear past lives in dream time. And again, if you're working with the pendulum, and you have a really profound dream, you can ask, was that a past life? Was that subconscious goo? Or was that a vision? Get some feedback. Those of you that are intending to be healers, they're going to want to clear those past lives. When you're a candidate and you're accepted, and they're like, okay, let's advance this person, it's the first thing they do, start to clear I know that happened with me. I wake up in the morning. Wow, what a dream. What was that? Past life. They're clearing me. Now, before I conclude our journey into the higher frequencies, I just want to pray for all of the souls that are ascending off of the earth, that they make it up to heaven, that they are greeted by the ascended master of their path, their loved ones, that no one gets lost. Pray that when they see the angels, they know to follow them, and that they feel worthy enough to do so. That whole Christian idea about forgiveness, I have forgiven you, says Jesus. You know, to me that comes down to, if you feel forgiven, then you feel worthy. And if you don't feel forgiven, then sometimes you don't feel worthy. When I do mediumship, sometimes the fragments, when they have not crossed over, like, why haven't you crossed over? I don't feel worthy. I don't feel forgiven. I don't feel understood. I've done terrible things. See, and then I think, oh, that's why Jesus said that about forgiveness. So that you can feel okay with yourself no matter what. So that you can feel worthy. So I pray for all of those beings that are choosing to ascend at this time completely out of the third dimension. They feel beautiful and worthy, and that they follow the angels home. Again, our intention. Before we go, let us also ask for light into our environments. This is a good opportunity to clean up around the house, clear space, get rid of junk. Let the light in through the window. Also asking for light into your vehicle, which is another expression, another vehicle of yourself, your car. We have our body and we have our car. They're both vehicles that transport us around and express in the world. Asking for light in the body and asking for light in the vehicle of the car. A moment of gratitude for all you have received. And ask your angels to stay close to you at this time. They will surround your home. They will keep you safe. They will send you angel signs so that you know that they're right there. For you are a part of all that is. And we are in the midst of a great change. Something beautiful is coming. And we're a part of that. So rejoice. This is Raven Shamballa. Om. Peace. Amen.